Hey guys, how you doing? Ron here with Tech Tips to Go. So in today's video, it's going to be a little different from cryptocurrency and VeChain and Ethereum and all the news that I usually give. It's going to be talking about how I got started. I get a lot of questions on Twitter like how I got started, how did I build my net worth, how did I get into real estate investing? And when people ask me, they're like, "Well, how did you start? And what's your favorite type of income or strategy in terms of like passive income?" And I always still refer it, say, real estate, just because, yes, we know that like cryptocurrency gives you nice gains, but when you want to leverage something in terms of like getting a loan or doing something with the money that you have, it's hard to use money that you don't really have to kind of borrow to get further gains in the future. And that's why I like real estate, because you can leverage what the banks give you based on your assets that you have, and you can decide whatever you else want to do, whether you want to upgrade your primary home, get a second home, get a third home, get a fourth home, get a cottage, etc. So anyways, I'm going to get into the video on how I got started with real estate investing. So if you're new to this channel and haven't subscribed, and if you like this kind of content, I talked a lot about cryptocurrencies, real estate investment. I own a bunch of businesses, and if you like entrepreneurship and passive income, then please subscribe, join the channel. And I also have a Telegram group. It's t.me/tech tips to go. So we talk a lot about cryptocurrencies, passive income, real estate, etc. So it's kind of like an open channel where a lot of things money related, primarily mostly like VeChain and cryptocurrencies, but that's what we talk about. So let's get into the video. So how I got started with real estate investing. So, this is going to apply to like everyone in certain ages. So when I first finished school, I finished school, went to school for like management information systems in Ottawa. Then went to Toronto. I got my very first job, and I remember sitting there in my first month of actually working a professional first corporate job, and I was sitting there and I said, wow. I was like 21 or 22, and I was 23, and I was thinking, wow, I got like another 40 years before I retire. I'm like, I don't think I could do this, right? So right there, prior to then, I was very excited to get into the workforce because, coming from a broke college university kid with no money, going into your first corporate gig that is actually paying you decent, you're like, wow, I got a lot of money. And then you actually sit there, and this was like an IT wireless related job, and that's what I actually do now for my business. So I was just sitting there thinking, 40 years is a long time, and I don't think I could do it. So in the back of my mind, I was always kind of researching, what can I do to get into a business? And I knew like over the years, it was like, I need to build some kind of business, but I can't afford to quit my day job. So I always, over the years, created like side hustles. So in the second point, it just says, so in the second point, it just said like, I really hated it because I went from job to job to job, from like wireless to fiber optics to IT related jobs, support jobs, etc. And like I said, I always wanted to run my own business and start something on my own. So I continued to work and kept building my side hustles, right? And I got really, I would say, I'd credit this to my wife in terms of kind of like settling me down in terms of my spending habits, because as when you're a young single guy, you tend to spend a lot, right? Unless you've been trained by like a mentor or an older brother that's just saying, hey, you know what, you should really kind of put away some money in this side, because in 5 years you're just going to reward and you're going to say thank you. Because if someone actually told me that, probably wouldn't have been spending a lot of the money I did foolishly going out drinking, buying clothes, buying gadgets, buying the latest gadgets, buying the latest iPhone, etc. Right? Just keep on, burning like through cash, right? And it just, I wish I kind of took little different steps, but I didn't get started late in real estate, but I think if I started earlier, I'd probably have more than I do now. So anyways, like I said, I continue to work on my side hustles, and my side hustles, and I'm going to make a recommendation. So if you're starting a side hustle, one thing that I do recommend is pick your clients properly. So I did everything from B2B and then B2C, which is business to business and business to consumers. I find majority of your customers where you'll make the most money is your B2B customers, because they have a budget to spend. They have a marketing budget. They know that at least 10% should go to marketing or to some kind of other offering or some other. So usually a business will have a budget to spend on additional things, right? Whereas, a B2C customer is very tight. They don't want to spend. They're going to bargain with you a lot. So it just really depends on your niche as well. Like if it's like an evergreen niche that someone always needs, then it's a little different. But I find like working with B2B clients, they have more of a budget. Sure, there's a lot of competition, but overall, I think they pay a lot more, and they have a lot more money to spend on a different type of services that you might offer, whether it's marketing, etc., or IT services. So as I built my side hustles, and one of them was an e-commerce site. So the e-commerce site I started was like back in 2006, 2007. It was just like a side project, and I kind of built it from my basement all the way up. And as you get into one business, like a niche, try not to be too very niche specific, but think of a corporation name where you can kind of build upon that and expand. Let's say if you're doing let's say you're doing print, you just don't want to focus on one print for like hockey jerseys. You might want to make it print so you can apply to all companies, whether it's a hockey team, whether it's business to business, whether it's doing like outdoor advertising, prints, etc. So I started that, and I knew it was time to quit when I started with one employee, got two employees, got a partner. We kind of grew together, and then I knew it was time to quit when the amount of employees that I had outgrew my full-time job. Right. So then I'm like, okay, well, I think it's time to quit. But the main thing is like when you're doing this, you have to be careful, like when you're working in your full-time job, so you don't create that conflict of interest. So I still continued to work for that position and that job, but I was 100% devoted and dedicated to that job. It's just that my job was kind of like fading off, and there wasn't that many customers or clients to keep us busy enough. So I always maintained and made sure that my projects and my work was always 100% complete and done. So the second thing was like I knew it was time when the revenue I was making was more than my full-time gig. So the point being in this part is like the main thing is like you really need to focus and get started, and then stop procrastinating on a lot of things. So in my next point it says, but even like so even before like all of this happened, when I was making all that revenue, making all the money, right? When I was still working my regular job, I was able to get probably about 2, 3 houses even before my business started to take off. And the way we were able to do that is I partnered with a partner and then also my wife. So what we did is, homes in Toronto costed back then were like anywhere from like $500,000 and up. Condos were about 300,000 and up. Now they're just ridiculously the price like 600,000 for a small piece of land or a small condo. So here's what I really recommend is leverage what use what the banks can give you. Use the leverage, right? So you've got income, your partner has income, so your combined income and your debt ratio, like you just have a lot more. You'll have a lot more money to work with in terms of the lending rate and the lending amount that the bank will give you because you have that combined income. And it would have been way too difficult for me to purchase the home on my own. So what I did is I partnered up, right? And what I did, like if you want to follow the steps I did, I knew that I wanted a long-term closing so that the housing market could appreciate while it's being built. A lot of people do this flip, they call it consignment. So they know it'll take 2 years until closing date. So, but within that period of time, of 2 years, it might have gone 50,000. Then they flip it right before they actually, I think, upon opening, and then someone just takes it over based on the value. So if you bought it early at 200,000, and in 2 years it took that long to do pre-construction and construction to when it's made and ready for occupancy. And if it went up to 250,000, you made 50,000 minus your taxes or whatever else. So that's how I started, partnering up, purchased a home with someone, and then, 2 years down the road, we're like, okay, well, the home appreciated. So 2 years down the road, that home appreciated, so much more. And then we were able to go back to the bank in the second or third year, and actually we took a home equity line of credit. So we took that home equity line of credit, we got a second house, and we kept doing that. And then every 2 years we kept buying more and more houses. So it was a repetitive cycle. And then all we did was we just rented them out. We hired a realtor to rent them out, and that was it. And then plus, in Toronto, it's a big city, So the rental market is very strong, and I'm going to get into another video where I talk about like my real estate renting mistakes, because you're going to want to watch that video. Like with renting, you have to be really careful on who, which tenant you bring in. And so, like I mentioned, if you look at one of my other videos, I've got homes in Las Vegas, homes in Toronto. I got a cottage up in Blue Mountain, and we're looking at getting some properties in Thailand, just because we, in terms of like retirement, kind of doing like an Airbnb, live there for 4 months, and then while we're not there, we're going to Airbnb it so we actually get revenue passively as well. So, and that's it, and then what you can do as a strategy is, at the end of your term of your mortgages, you can kind of look at all your mortgages and take equity out of there to pay down your principal mortgage. So anything that you're paying on your rental properties you can deduct that from your interest expense on your claims at the year end for your taxes. So that's how we got started, and that's how we built our net worth. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. I could get into more, but I'm gonna kind of break it up because I don't want to make these videos too long. And my last point is that you get addicted to it because you just see your net worth over time grow and grow and grow. And, and then when you get to my age and like you're 10 years later, you're like, wow, I'm really glad I listened to you, or I'm glad I listened to someone that really kind of mentored me in terms of getting into real estate. Because like I said, in 10 years, you're going to look at your net worth and the amount of rentals you have. Everyone's just paying down your mortgage, and you're going to be kind of laughing and figuring out like, okay, well, now I've got all this equity. What do I want to do with it? Do you want to travel? Do you want to build a business? Do you want to pay off your mortgage? You have all these options, right? So, the main thing is get focused, save some money, pay off all your debt first. Figure out like what percentage you're paying for your credit cards. Does it make more sense to kind of pay that off before you do other investments? And then save, and then figure out, and then you just kind of use what you're making in your day job, your side hustles, to kind of leverage what the bank can give you. Take the home equity line of credit, etc. So I know this is a little bit different from cryptocurrencies and passive income and what I talk about, but like I said, that's my main source of wealth, or what I enjoy most in terms of making money is within real estate and rental properties. So anyways, that's it. My next video, I'll probably get into specifics of my do's and don'ts for finding renters and etc. and some of the mistakes I learned. So again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, comment, like, and I'll see you in the next video.